What's up, everybody? This is Jay, and this is the Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 9 recap and review for Adaptation. Now, I want to thank everybody that supports my work at patreon.com/Jaymoorereviews. Special shout out to my newest supporter, Sean W. Also, I want to thank everybody that supported me with donations through PayPal. The link is in the description box below. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, click the like button. Now let's get into it. Now, when it comes on, it starts off with Jesus, and he's dead, and so everybody's still in the cemetery trying to figure out what's going on. They try to pick him up and get out of there before, more walkers come. And slowly but surely, more walkers were approaching. Michonne is trying to cover him. You got Lady Hawkeye, she's got Michonne's back, and so as they leave, Daryl, he locks the gate. But as the walkers get close to the gate, you can see one of them unlock the gate. And so we're wondering what's going on. Meanwhile, back at Alexandria, we see Negan escaping from the pen. And so he's trying to make his prison break. He comes out. He sees that Alexandria is just beautiful. They even have fresh veggies and things that he's smelling on and enjoying. And so then he's looking for some supplies before he go. He's got a shovel. He breaks into one of the homes. As he's going in the homes, he looks on the wall and sees the picture about the family, and he realizes little Judith's house, and he's got a soft spot for little Judy. And so he starts to feel a little sad. He sees she had a compass hanging, so he takes the compass and he gets ready to make his escape. And so he tries to put on a disguise looking like a Mexican gardener. And so as he's walking, he sees this chance to hop the gate, throws his shovel over the gate. And right when he was halfway up, you see Judith there with the biscuit, and she's telling him, "Stop, what you think you doing? Come on down." And so reluctantly he comes down, and she's like, you can't escape. Everybody's looking for you. And he's like, "Well, you don't have to say anything. All you have to do is pretend you didn't see me." She like, "That's not gonna work." And he like, "Look, you know me. You know me better than anybody. I'm not gonna hurt anyone. Trust me. I'm not gonna hurt anyone, even if they try to hurt me. And you know I'm telling you the truth." And so she puts the gun down and she's gonna let him go. But as he starts to climb back up and leave, she like, "Wait a minute, were you in my room?" And so he stops and look, and she like, "You're in my room." And then he pulls up the compass. He like, "You want it back?" And she like, "No, you can keep it. It'll help you find your way." And so he gets ready to roll out, and right before he leaves, she like, "There's nothing out there for you. It's nothing out there for anybody. And if you come back, I'll shoot." And he like, "All right, I understand. I would too." And he like, "But I gotta go." And so he hops the gate and he's off. Meanwhile, back at Hilltop, we see Fantastic Beast. He's walking around and he's seeing that everything is just working like clockwork, and he's trying to find his place. And we see Eden and Tara, and they putting together a plan to go and find Michonne and everybody. And they like, "Well, let's do two-man teams." And he like, "Hey, I can help. I got an extra set of hands if you need it. Just count on me." And they like, "You sure?" And they like, "Well, yeah." And so then Aiden like, "Hey, you can come with me. I'll take care of him." And so he pretty much teams up with him, and they decide they're gonna be a two-man team and look for him. And before he go, he get a little sugar from Eden. And so meanwhile, we see Michonne and Daryl, and they're talking, and she like, "Yeah, this will help them move on, bringing Jesus' body back." And they like, "Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't do that for you." And she like, "Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't do that for you either." Meanwhile, the ladies is like, "Man, he seemed like a good one. I would have liked to meet him." He like, "Yeah, well, he made his choice. We all did." And then they hear some rumbling, they hear some walkers. And then you hear Eugene, is that the regular kind or is that extra crispy original flavor? And so you see the walkers coming across the bridge. And so Daryl like, let's find out. And so he shoots one in the leg. He keeps moving, didn't even make a sound. Then he decides, all right, let me shoot another one. He shoots another one in the leg, and as soon as he shoots him in the leg, he drops real fast, making a whole bunch of noise, and he started looking like hot sauce on a pork rind, and the walkers attacked him and ate him up real quick. And so then the other one started to turn around real slow, but Michonne was waiting for him. And so dude pulled out his little knife and tried to run and attack Michonne, but she was able to be surgical, chopped off his hand, and then turned him into a shish kebab. And so then the other one, she was getting scared. They took out all the other walkers. And then the last one, she drops her weapon and puts her hand up. And so they like, what in the world? And they go over there and they take off her mask. And they like, what is this? Why are you wearing that? And you know, they wearing the walker's mask so they can blend in like a good weave in the crowd. And so she like, I'm sorry, I don't have anything. Don't kill me, please. Don't kill me. And they like, it's just me. And Michonne put the blade to her neck. Don't believe you. And so the girl, they about to interrogate her, but it was more walkers approaching, and so they didn't really have enough time to get into detail. Daryl like, look, we ain't got time. Take her with us. We'll talk then. And so they grabbed Raggedy Ann and left. So meanwhile, back with Negan, he's enjoying the sunshine and fresh air. He goes to stop to have a little snack, and next thing you know, he got an uninvited guest ready to come and join him for Din Din. And so he was trying to have a little afternoon delight. But next thing you know, he had to use the shovel, crack dude head open a couple times, gave him a facial. And so the zombies was real old and deteriorated. They had one zombie looking like a piece of sizzling. He tried to play a little grab ass and grab him and pull him down, but he was able to break loose, and the zombie just fell apart because he was smoked like a Newport. And so next thing you know, he finished him off, crushed him. And so he saw little supplies. He tried to check, but they were all spoiled. And so he went to go get a little sip on some water or something, but his body ain't adjusted to drinking regular water out the stream, so he ended up puking, throwing it up. And so he decided to take off his Mexican gardener shirt and decide, you know, I'm about to move on and try to find some other things. Meanwhile, we see Michonne and everybody getting back to Hilltop with the prisoner. She mean mugging everybody. They all realize Jesus is dead, and so everybody's sad and everything. And then you see Tara and everybody, and he tell them Aaron about to cry about Jesus gone. And then you see Aunt Jemima come up talking about, we gonna want justice for this, Tara. We gonna look to you. Jesus trusted you. And she like, yeah, I know. So meanwhile, they go take the prisoner to the jail, and we see the last Boy Scout in jail still, Henry. And they ain't he like, what's going on, Daryl? He like, Jesus is dead. And so next thing you know, they interrogating Raggedy Ann, and they like, how many of you is it? Where are you? And she go, I don't know. Meanwhile, we see Negan, and he sees a little clothing store half burnt out. So he decides, let me go on in there, see if I can get me a Run DMC leather again and try to make my way back. And so sure enough, he finds a leather still hanging up there. He going to slap it on. He feeling good. But next thing you know, he got a visit from the dog pound. And so these dogs is a pack of wild dogs. So he know he better go ahead and move quick. So he decided to run and climb up a shelf and hide while the dogs is running around looking for him, but they can't get to him. When he make his chance, he runs and tries to get out, but the door is jammed and the dogs start coming, and somebody let the dogs out, but he luckily at the last minute gets the door open, but it was a little biter there, and so he grabs him and throws him down and sacrifices him for the dogs to eat on. And so while the dogs was eating on him, he was able to, you know, get out of there, close the door, and take a breather. Meanwhile, we see Luke and Aaron, and they are walking, and they on the horse Brokeback Mountain style talking, and then he sees an arrow. And so he goes over there and inspects the arrow. He like, yeah, this is Yumiko's arrow. I seen her make a bunch of these. And while he was talking to Walker, it was a double team, one at the bottom, one at the top, grab him, and he ends up falling. And then we just had, by the luck of his draws, Alden was there to back him up and throw that spear. He turned into a spear chucker and nailed that damn zombie from a few yards away and got him up off of him. He was able to kick the last one off. And then he talking about, hey, we can sing at this fair, the Symphony of Awesome, 2-man band. Hey, he like, I don't know. He like, hey, if we find this trail, then you're going to make me a bet. You're going to sing, brother. And so then Alden realizes that it's a herd of zombies not too far, and they like, hey man, we better hurry up before we get trapped on the other side of them. Meanwhile, back at Hilltop, they're interrogating Raggedy Ann, and she's not telling them anything. And they like, how many? I don't know. I don't know. It was just us. You killed us all. We were good people. And they like, man, how many? Why'd you kill our people? And she's like, well, we were always going to kill your people. That's just what people do nowadays. That's just what happens. And he like, oh, okay. So how many? I don't know. And meanwhile, we see, the last Boy Scout listening. And so Michonne is not believing a word she say. And she's telling her she need to talk. And she like, it's just was me and my mom. Don't go looking for her. And so when they come up top, they start talking, and Michonne like, yeah, I don't believe a word she say. And they like, yeah, we're gonna ask her tomorrow some more. And she like, well, you're gonna have to do it without me. I gotta let my people know. And Tara was shocked at first, but she understood. She gotta let her people know. And she like, well, I'm gonna make sure that we don't, if she doesn't say nothing, you know what to do. And she like, and I'm gonna make sure that those other people can stay. I guess it's up to me now since Jesus is dead. And she like, yeah, it's fine. They're gonna be all right. And so she tells Daryl, you make sure that you know what to do if she doesn't talk. And so meanwhile, we see Eugene, and he's all half crying because they done replaced his knee or whatever back in the socket. And so the doc like, yeah, it wasn't too bad, was it? He like, say as you. And then the doc walk off. He like, look, I want to tell you something. Rosita, I'm torn to pieces about Jesus. I really am. But I would have really been sick if something would have happened to you. I really would. And I'm tired of biting my tongue. I'm going to let you know that I need to tell you something. That I really care about you, and then before he could finish, she acted like she was getting sick, and then she ran off. And so he was kind of looking like salty for a second that she ran out of there with the quickness while he was talking, but she really was sick, and she ended up puking in the back outside or whatever. And so I'm thinking, man, she really don't like him. He is kind of weird. And then the doc come like, you okay? You been through a lot. She like, no, it's not that. I'm fine. Remember when we was messing around before me and Gabriel? I'm pregnant. And while she was telling the doc that she was pregnant, of course, Eugene nosy ass is sitting in there listening, getting all salty and torn the tethers about all of this. And so meanwhile, we see Negan, and he's finally back home, sweet home at the sanctuary. And so he happy, and he thinking, yeah, home sweet home, baby. And so once he go inside, he do his little whistle. And so once he whistle, it's nobody there. Then he starts to realize, damn, this place ain't nothing like it used to be. It's empty, it's tore up, it's been pillaged. And he breaks through this little secret wall he had, and then he sees he had a motorcycle and some food stash. But it looked like the rats done ate better than he has, because they done ate all the food up, and this rest is moldy. And so he goes through the rest of the place, and he hears a noise. And so he gets to the part where he hears the noise, and then he like, Big Richie, is that you? Big Richie, you loyal to the end there, partner. And he's a zombie now. He like, damn, man, you sure have had better times, I will say that. Meanwhile, back at Hilltop, we see, Michonne and Aaron, they putting together the supplies to go back home. And Aaron like, I'm sorry, Michonne, you were right. We should have stayed back and took care of ourselves like they can. And then we see Daryl coming, and he was asleep outside. She like, don't tell me you slept up there. He like, hey man, that's my penthouse deluxe apartment in the sky. And so she like, hey look, they're gonna need you here. No Maggie, no Jesus. He like, what about Tara? Tara's smart, but you're the best judge of character I know. And if they don't talk, you know what to do. And so meanwhile, we see Negan, and he's looking around the joint, and he's starting to realize this place is dead. And he's sitting at his table, and he's trying to reminisce on when everything was all good. And then he's sitting on his couch, and he's just sitting there and thinking, and he's all sad now. And then he's starting to look sad, and then he hears that noise and outside and whatever. And so he decides he's going to go on outside and just crack heads and clean house. And so he goes out there, and he beats up all the stuff and takes them all out, all the walkers. And next thing you know, he cleaned them all up except for one, Big Richie. And he like, damn, big man, you had better days. I thought we had something special going on here. And he leaves Big Richie to walk around, and he goes and barricades the door. And I guess he needed somebody to talk to. And so he sits and he's thinking for a second, and you can see that he's actually a changed man now. And he looks at the compass, and then he looks on the back and sees the JG for Judith Grimes, and he actually missed that girl. And he like, damn, he's thinking to himself, and then he just goes back and open up the door. He like, you know what, big man? I'm sorry, but things just ain't gonna work out. And then he lets him in, and he takes him out and cracks his head real quick. And next thing you know, Big Richie is street meat. And so they go on, we see the funeral for Jesus, and everybody's there crying or whatever, getting ready to bury him, and Aaron is all sad as if, he may have had a secret love or something. And so then Daryl, he's pissed, and then with that anger, he goes straight down to the pen, and he's talking to old girl. How many of you is it? Where y'all from? And she's getting scared now, and she backs up into the corner scared. And he like, how many of you? They just buried a good man up there. I could take you up there, and they'll string you up right now. You better talk. And then that's when the Boy Scout like, Daryl, come on. What are you doing? Don't. And she like, he pulls out his blade. He talking to her. He like, I could cut you up right now and take you out there. And he like, talk. And she like, we were always going to attack. It was just me and my mom. We didn't have a name. He like, Daryl, no. And she listening, and he got the knife pointed at her, trying to make her talk, intimidate her. And she still barely ain't telling no information. And he like, I ought to carve you up. And I'm going to take you up there. Come on. And he start dragging her to take her up there. She like, no, please, Daryl, no, please. And she all, Daryl got a soft spot. He ain't really a killer anyway. And so you got a Boy Scout telling him no, she crying. And so he pretty much got a plan in place. So he let her go. And he closed her back in. And then he walk over to Henry. And he like, I told you to shut your mouth. You want to know where your place is? It's right here until you learn how to wise up and understand what's going on. You don't get it, do you? And so, little Henry, he was sitting there looking stupid because he pretty much been growing up thinking everything's sweet. He don't understand how people can turn on you. And so then when Daryl leaves, she like, thank you. And she tell her his name, and he like, I'm Henry. And while they're sitting there talking and exchanging information, Daryl was slick because he was listening through the window outside. And so it was all a plan to get them to talk. And she got trust without Henry knowing. Meanwhile, we see Negan riding his bike, and he's coming back towards Alexandria. Next thing you know, you see Judith, little Judy, she's busting off rounds at him. And so he ends up getting spun out and sliding out of control. And while he's out of control trying to get up, she walks over and she like, I told you don't come back over here. And he like, yeah, I told you I'd shoot. He like, yeah, you did. You sure did. And she was like, he like, here, you want this back? And then he gave her back her compass. And she's like, I told you there's nothing out there. And he like, yeah, you did. You sure did. She like, so why you going back to Alexandria? He like, yeah, I'm going back. I'm gonna go back to my cell and everything. She like, oh yeah. And he like, yeah, it's nothing out here for me. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And so she puts the gun down and let him come back with her to the pen. Meanwhile, we see Luke and Alden, and they talking about what music they gonna play and all of this and that, and he's seeing all these arrows following the trail, and so he all happy like, yeah, I told you. And so while they get there, they see a walker. He like, oh, I got it. So he pulls out the hammer. It's hammer time. And while he's walking towards the walker stops. And so he like, wait a minute, that's strange. It stopped. And normally they don't stop for nothing. And so they stop and they look around, and then the next thing you know, before they realize it, they was surrounded in a 211. So they like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. And all the walkers got them surrounded, but they all are stopped. And so now they see that these walkers got this skin to blend in, and they wasn't ready for that. Normally they on their toes like a midget at a urinal, but this time it didn't work. And so now they realize, oh man, we got a problem here. And then she walks towards them with the sawed off double barrel. She like, the trail ends here. And so now what are they gonna do? They may try to pull an exchange, because that could be the girl Raggedy Ann's mama, and she may want to make an exchange, these two for her, or they may try to use them as hostage and try to have some other type of leverage to do something. It's going to be interesting to see how they call these the Whisperers. How are they going to affect the story, and what are they going to do? Because if they're willing to walk with the walkers and live with the walkers and look like the walkers, then how low can they go? They are willing to do pretty much anything. And so we'll see. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my recap review. I enjoyed this episode. It was really good to see how things are shaping up and how this time jump is going to work out. We'll see how it all plays out in the end. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.